Hello again. All right, so this is the final kimchi making video of the evening. So we started the video with all of the ingredients and the Napa cabbage. We chopped it up, submerged it in water, drained it, mixed it with salt, and now it's 5 hours later, and it's looking great. So it has really kind of wilted and exuded a lot of its moisture, a lot of the water, and it's now ready to go into a colander in the sink and be rinsed. So I'm going to move this camera so you can see that. So basically what you want to do is you want to, so you used, this is 6 and a bit pounds of cabbage, and you used a cup of salt. We used a cup of salt in this. So that's a lot of salt, and we definitely don't want the kimchi to be that salty, but it was necessary to get this, get the water out of it. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to rinse it and get it to the salt level that we would like it to be. We have to keep in mind that we're going to be adding 2 to 3 tablespoons of fish sauce if you're using that. And then I always think it's best to be conservative, so have it be less salty than you'd like, because you can always add more salt later. But it is a bummer if you oversalt your kimchi. Of course, there are ways to correct it. Add older, less salty batch to it. Do a second ferment and mix it in. But yeah, better to try and not have that happen. No, that's spreading too much. So I like this kind of a colander. You get a lot of surface area with it. And yeah, as you can see, it's like pretty wilty and not as thick and juicy, crunchy as it was, but still crunchy-ish. So at this point, I've given it a pretty good rinse. I'm just gonna try it. It's still pretty salty, a little bit more. And then once this is done, I'm going to put it back into the bucket, or if you have bowls, whatever you're using, and mix it with all of that stuff that we chopped earlier. The scallions, the garlic, the ginger, the gochugaru. And then we're going to put it in the fermentation vessel. So for the fermentation vessel, you just want to use something that's non-reactive, like any glass jar that you have. Food grade buckets work well. Stoneware crocks. Yeah, so that's perfect. Now let's put it back in the bucket. Yeah, so you want to use it, like these gallon jars are pretty easy to come by if you don't have them at a deli. You can usually just ask. I'll have extras, or if not, you can always purchase them at the homebrew store. Or a lot of times in the preserving aisle of the market, although not usually that large of ones. Usually, sometimes 2 quarts. You can use two. You can use multiple jars to pack in. There are lots of options for this. Okay, so I have that there. I have our previous ingredients, the daikon, the ginger, the scallions, the sugar, the gochugaru, all that stuff. I'm just going to dump it. Let me see. Maybe I'll do it like this. I'm going to dump it in there. Now, if you want to use gloves, you can do that. I just do it by hand. I don't mind the kind of warming sensation of it. But if you have sensitive hands or arms, don't do that. You could also, use tongs, but you really kind of want to get in there and make sure that everything is fully blended together. We did not add, let me make sure we added everything else. Yeah. We did not add the 2 to 3 tablespoons is what my recipe calls for of fish sauce. I love fish sauce, so I'm going to do 3. I think it's delicious. All right, so let me get a chair, then you can see better what I'm doing here. Yeah. So basically, you just want to get in there, mix it all up, and don't inhale too much because Ruben looks funny back there. Because of all of that 1.5 cups of the coarse and fine gochugaru chili powder. All right. So once you have it pretty well combined, now we're just going to get it into the clean jar or jars. So this usually makes about a gallon, we'll see. It's looking like it's going to be about exactly a gallon, but I do have an extra jar in case we need it. I usually put the jar in the sink, and then if some falls, it's a clean sink. If some of the kimchi falls into the sink, then I can just scoop it up, put it back in the jar, and then I can rinse the jar off in there. If you have a setup that allows for that, I recommend it. So just do kind of, you don't have to be as particular, worry about spilling too much. And just kind of get it all in there. And once it's in there, you're going to pack it down. Oh yeah, it's going to have lots of room. I like to use this wooden pestle that I have. I don't know if you can really see that. Or like a masher. Whenever you have that sort of a blunt tool that you can push down the kimchi. I mean, obviously you can also just use your hand. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pack this all in there, and then I'm going to leave it with the lid loosely on it to start fermenting. And it is going to take 2 to 3 days in the spring or summer. The temperature really affects it. And generally a week or so, roughly, in the fall and winter. So, I'm guessing, and all the veggies are different, the amount of microorganisms on them are different, but I'm going to guess this is going to be like a 4 or 5 day. I also like mine a bit funky, so I go a little longer than some people, but we'll see. So I'm just rinsing off the edges of it. And what's going to happen is it's going to continue to release moisture. As you can see how full that is. And start to get fizzy. Once it's released moisture, you just want to make sure that the cabbage, every day, check it, open up the lid, release whatever pressure is in there, and you'll get considerable pressure as it ferments. And taste it, try it, and push down with clean hands to make sure that the veggies and cabbage stay below the brine. And you're going to get a considerable amount of brine, and you're probably going to get so much that it tends to sometimes overflow. So that's why I always keep it in something like this kind of a casserole dish or something that can contain it. And then I'll keep a jar or a glass nearby and pour off from the container that it's overflowed into the glass or jar, and I'll keep that liquid, because what happens is when the ferment is done, when it's to your liking, it's as zippy and zingy and funky as you want it, at that point you put it into the refrigerator and it'll often seize up, and you'll add back. that moisture. So that's a nice thing to have it sitting on. Just a couple other really quick things before I'm done. This is going on for a while. This is a book that I really love. It's called Koreatown, for recipes with the kimchi. Of course, there are loads and loads of great Korean books. This just happens to be one that's on my shelf that I love. And in my cookbooks, I make my own indexes in the back, so I can quickly see what I've cooked from the book and what I liked and what I would do differently. So this one, I've cooked the kimchi pancakes, the Gion, and I wrote awesome, exclamation mark, and then some notes. The japchae, which is delicious. And these things, you know, both include kimchi. The bulgogi, so I have some frozen actually that I made from this that I'll be eating with the kimchi. Also, Mangchi. She has a YouTube channel that I cannot recommend highly enough that has all sorts of delicious, I mean, she has millions of followers, all sorts of delicious Korean foods that she makes. But so these are just, you know, potential resources if you end up, you know, wanting some other things to do, some inspiration for ways to use your kimchi. But that's the end of this. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night, and then I think tomorrow I'll do another video checking on the kimchi. I'll definitely do at least a couple more. Let me just make sure that everything in the book that I noted on it. Yeah. That's kimchi. Good night, babies. Love you.